First up, though, let's talk about, well, I mean, the latest mad trans activism and also freedom of speech. It's absolutely fascinating that a bunch of Oxford University professors have actually written an open letter. It was published in the Telegraph yesterday to Oxford students, basically accusing them, to all intents and purposes, of, censoring freedom of speech with their trans activism. This is after the feminist philosophy professor, Kathleen Stock. She was hounded out of the University of Sussex for simply stating that she doesn't believe that men can change sex to become women. So, a sane person who understands basic biology. She was physically, literally hounded out of that university job and faced, death threats and goodness knows what else. Well, she's been invited to speak at the Oxford Union, the big debating society, at the end of this month. What a surprise. Oxford University LGBTQ plus society. I still don't know what the Q and the plus stand for. I still don't get it after all these years. They have protested, said she should be uninvited and stood down. They're also now arranging a day of protests against her arrival. Well, let's talk about this with Helen Joyce, author of Trans, When Ideology Meets Reality. She's also Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters. Good morning to you.
Hi, Julia.
Another day, another person speaking up for women's rights and existence as something outside of a male imagination, and another set of protests. And by lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and I don't know what else the rest of this is, society, claiming that simply hearing her words is so awful and offensive and hateful, she must be stopped. Thank goodness for at least a few dozen Oxford professors standing up for this, but it should be every single one of them, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this really isn't the LGBT society anymore. It's a bunch of little thought police who like to censor what other people say and do. I mean, any sane lesbian, gay, bisexual or trans person wouldn't join that society because what's it about? I mean, it used to be about meeting people who had the same sexuality as you, and now it's turning up outside talks, banging pots, wearing masks and, waving stupid placards. Yeah. And Kathleen Stock is now basically public enemy number one. Anywhere she tries to speak, people say her words are hateful, and that goes absolutely countrywide, perhaps even beyond.
And we hear that all the time about J.K. Rowling. Well, she's transphobic, and even have, BBC presenters going, she's made controversial remarks. Her remarks aren't remotely controversial. She's never said anything transphobic, and none of the views that Kathleen Stock holds on this issue are controversial to 95% of the public.
Absolutely. And that's why they treat her the way they do. They don't want people to hear this perfectly nice, perfectly sensible, very well-spoken woman explain carefully why she thinks that women's rights actually rely on you being able to define what a woman is. Yes. She's not actually talking about trans issues. She's talking about women's issues. This is the thing.
We're constantly told, you and I, we're awful transphobes as well, apparently, but we're TERFs, trans-exclusionary radical feminists. I have to say I now take that as a badge of honour. But this idea that in some way what we're saying is hateful, when this is about protecting women, protecting girls, protecting our daughters, also crucially protecting young gay women in particular. They're most under attack. Lesbian dating websites now are pretty much full of and this isn't like not one or two. I'm talking like dozens and dozens percentages of men claiming to be women with beards and all intact, saying you're a bigot if you won't date me. If you claim you're a lesbian, well, I'm a woman and you should be happy to date a woman with a penis. I mean, it's Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass territory, isn't it?
What it actually is men's rights activism, men's sexual rights activism. That's what I think those pot bangers outside are doing. They may not realise it, but what they're doing is they're saying women can have nothing for themselves, not self-definition, not boundaries, not their own sexuality, not their own spaces, not their own sports.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We've seen some amazing steps forward in terms of some of the sports things. What we also see amazingly is more and more big companies stepping onto this trans bandwagon and trying to be all things to all men and really ignoring women. Now, we've seen this with, the likes of, Nike, Bud Light, massive, extraordinary blowback for them when they featured Dylan Mulvaney. Again, no problem with the trans activists at all being their influencer, but don't have a man prancing around pretending to be a woman, advertising for Nike, sports bras, and for Bud Light, this beer, and it's just dressed in a caricature of a woman. It's repulsive to women to be mocked in that way, and that's what it is. It's mockery of us, and we're seeing it again. Adidas have now jumped on the bandwagon. They have launched a new they're very clear. Women's swimwear range, and it's called the Pride Collection, but it features male models. If you're watching on TV, you can see right now, and I've also just tweeted, male models wearing sports bras, wearing women's swimsuits. We've got the video advertising this new collection. Quite clearly, a sort of a big, broad-shouldered man with a hairy chest, completely intact down below. We know that. Either that or he's got about 4 bunches of socks in there because it's a very large bulge. I've tweeted Adidas. They haven't got back to me asking if the $70 price of this women's swimsuit includes the cost of the sock to stuff down my crotch, because unlike the model modelling the women's swimsuit, I don't have a penis and testicles to fill out that bulge. But I'm guessing most women don't.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, if there are 2 places where men and women differ, it's in sport and it's in clothing. So why women would want to know what a swimsuit looks like on somebody with a crotch bulge, narrow hips and wide shoulders and a flat chest is absolutely beyond me. And I don't know many men who want to wear this swimsuit either. I mean, they're welcome to if they want, but I don't think they do.
It's not being marketed as a unisex swimsuit. But this is the thing that I find extraordinary. Is that who are they marketing this to? This is yet another company I'm going to have to boycott because they don't respect me or my gender, my daughter or anyone else I know.
Yeah, they're trying to get headlines, and unfortunately, you know, either we stay silent and this just rolls over, or we talk about it and they get their wretched headlines.
Oh, we talk about it and then they get their wretched results. I'm serious. We cannot keep allowing people to mock women in this way. Helen Joyce, you've been such a wonderful advocate on this. I always love talking to you. Thank you very much, indeed, Helen Joyce.